Taking a look at what we'll be following for you this half hour, we're going to have some analysis for you on this week's historic ebook trial. Random House wants to block upstart Rosetta books from e-publishing works by older authors. We'll take a look at that. And our long-awaited interview with Linux creator Linus Torvalds happens in just a few minutes. You won't want to miss it. Be sure not to change that channel.
But before we get into that interview, let's first head to the Tech TV newsroom. President Bush's call for tax cuts is echoing throughout cyberspace. Victoria Ricano joins us now with the latest. Hello, Victoria.
Hi, Michaela. Well, in a speech to the Electronic Industries Alliance, a trade group representing high-tech companies, President Bush said the federal government should ban taxes that would apply to internet connections.
We need to ban internet access taxes. We need to understand how powerful the internet can be to commerce and growth. We need to have a permanent R&D tax credit in our system. You see, it's important to create certainty. It's important for planners and corporate executives to understand the rules and that the rules won't change.
The Bush administration also reaffirmed its support for extending a ban on taxing goods purchased over the internet. The moratorium expires in October. Microsoft is taking the wraps off Windows XP this fall. The official date is October 25th. The company says the release of the new version of its Windows OS will be its largest marketing effort ever. The software giant says Windows XP is its biggest upgrade since it released Windows 95.
Back with Windows 95, Microsoft really set the world on fire. The marketing and the excitement made it a revolution in personal computing. With Windows XP, we're taking that to a whole new level. The marketing, the excitement, the new applications, people have never seen anything like this. PCs will never be the same.
The big PC makers are counting on upgraded software to pull them out of an industry-wide slowdown. Musicians now have an eagle's eye on where their music is headed. A new search tool called Songbird gives independent artists a chance to keep track of their work on song swap service Napster. Yesterday, Napster released software that can read sounds through digital fingerprints. It added the new feature to comply with a federal court order that bars the trading of copyrighted songs on its service. And that's the latest from the Tech TV newsroom. Back to you guys in the studio.
Very good. Victoria Ricano in our Tech TV newsroom. Thanks so much. Well, stay tuned. We've got plenty more Tech Live coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
Nice. Like that? I've been looking all over for you.
You have?
You're the programmers from a parallel universe, right?
Yeah.
I'm a programmer too.
You are?
I'm certified in WebSphere, Lotus, DB2, Tivoli, Linux, Unix. I can help you do things.
You can?
I've got the software.
Hey, Meatball, stop daydreaming. We've got a mission to do.
It's a different kind of world. You need a different kind of software.
Meet Aztec with new VersaTrack all-wheel drive. Meet Sam and Kate. They're about to whack some weeds.
Go! This is pretty sweet.
I think I see our off-ramp.
Next day,
Become mango freaks.
What you got there?
It's a mango.
Mangoes? Mangoes. Do you think I got too many?
Go, mango!
meet Aztec.
Now get $1,000 cash back on any 2001 Aztec or see your local Pontiac dealer for a great lease or financing offer.
The world's live source for technology news and information. You're watching Tech Live.
With the current energy crisis, which we're all hearing about, with it affecting the West Coast, the question, could solar power be the answer to it? Lynn Espaso joins us now with more on the possibilities. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Erica. Well, it is really touch and go here in California. As you know, we've just advanced to a stage 1 alert, and the California ISO, that's the power authority in this state, is already warning rolling blackouts could happen for the 3rd day in a row this afternoon. So many businesses and residents are fed up with depending on utility companies for power. They're trying something new. The concept, solar power through photovoltaic or PV panels is not new, but the popularity sure is. Greg Kennedy's solar electricity business, Occidental Power in San Francisco, is thriving these days. It has not always been this way, but as the electrical supply dims, the demand for solar-powered panels for photovoltaic is heating up.
Our phone goes all day long, and it's really it's been fairly demanding for us to ramp up at this point because we've been in an industry that's been really pretty much slow for the last 15 years, but we've been, and it's all happened so fast.
Now, having solar panels installed on your roof is expensive to start with, but California offers a variety of rebates and tax incentives so that when you're all done, a standard residential installation might cost about $10,000 or so. Now, that gets you a system that provides about 7 kilowatt hours of power a day. That's enough to run most of the appliances in an average Californian home during the day. By adding a backup battery system, a homeowner can store some of that solar power to use at night or during a utility rolling blackout. Batteries are expensive and have limited capacity. They cannot
later dropped the E.
Oh, this of energy shortages, California homeowners have plenty of motivation to put these panels on the roof. Oops.
It's really very simple. Just your standard normal electric meter that you have is able to spin backwards. It's not ratcheted or detented. The meter literally spins backwards, and you get full credit for that which you send back.
Now, that means that solar customers could break even with both their gas and electricity costs. If you're just joining us, a reminder now, California advanced to a stage 1 alert already today. We're at risk for blackouts this afternoon for the 3rd day in a row. Today, Governor Gray Davis meeting with CEOs of several electrical generators and marketers. He has also ordered the Employment Development Department to waive the 1-week waiting period for unemployed insurance applicants who have lost their jobs because of the energy crisis. Davis is smoking because of comments Vice President Dick Cheney made on CNN about the power crisis and suggested the state do more to increase supply here. That's what Cheney said. Governor Gray Davis says, with all our progress on generation and conservation, it's a travesty that the one issue over which the federal government has exclusive jurisdiction, wholesale energy prices, it has utterly failed to discharge its responsibility. Now, right now, it is approaching 80 degrees in Sacramento. That, of course, the capital of the state. So, Erica, again, we're at a stage 1, but before long, will be telling you it's a stage 3. Back to you now.
And stage 3 is when we hit mandatory rolling blackouts,
That's
correct?
right.
Okay. Lynn, thanks for the update. I know this won't be the last of it, unfortunately. All right, Michaela, with that, I think you have some other news on energy for us.
Energy certainly is a hot topic these days, Erica, especially in California, all throughout the country, actually. Using energy-efficient appliances is one way that we could all conserve energy. Kristen Dahlgren joins us now to show us how we can go to the web to find more information on energy-efficient appliances. It's something that we probably have already heard about in the news a little bit, but let's take a further look at this.
Yeah, energy-efficient appliances can definitely save you a lot of money because different models use very different amounts of electricity. So the one that costs you the least initially may not be the one that in the long term will save you the most money. Right. So we took a look on the web, and the first site that we're going to talk about is EnergyStar.gov. And you'll notice the .gov there. A lot of these sites are sponsored by the government. This one is through the EPA because they want us to save energy more than anyone.
More than anyone.
So this is actually a really great site. First, you can take a look at which products carry the Energy Star label. And Energy Star is a cooperation between the government and manufacturers so that they can label the lowest energy using appliances. So that's a good thing. If you just click on this, you can see a list of products. And also through this site, you can see where to buy those.
Does it actually have a label on it? Does it have like that Energy Star label that we see in the corner?
It does. This is the symbol here right in the left-hand corner there, and that's what you'll see on your appliance when you go to buy it.
Okay.
This one, there's a map. You can see where can I buy Energy Star labeled products. You just click on your state and you can get a list there. This is very interesting. How can I improve my home? You can take a look at your home, and let's just see if we can get in there. No, of course, it's misbehaving now. How can I improve my home? So you take a look at this. Home performance benchmark. You can compare your home to what it should be running at. And you just put in things like when your home was built, how big it is, and then some of your monthly rates. The home doctor here, this is interesting. pick a symptom: high energy bills, damp basement,
cold
floors, and you just click on it, and then it'll give you some suggestions
on what might be causing it, what
might be causing it, and what you can do. And ultimately, anything that you do to seal up your home, it'll make it obviously more comfortable.
Interesting that they also have where you can buy an energy efficient home. I saw on the main page if you're looking to buy a house like that.
That's right. And here they have builders listed. You can also get special mortgage rates for buying a home like this. So there are definitely a lot of things that you can do that will save you money and then ultimately help us out in a situation like we have here.
Well, Kristen, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's several more websites that you'll put on the website for us for people that are concerned about this.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for this report. All right. It's all about energy, folks. We're going to continue on right now. I believe we go back over to Erica.
Thanks, Michaela. And we are going to leave the energy behind for just a moment, though. Don't worry. We will have plenty more throughout the day. Moving on, though, Napster's lawsuits have brought one question to the forefront of the American legal system: just who owns the copyrights to digital copies of music? Well, now the same question is being posed for books. Random House says it owns digital rights to some older authors. Rosetta Book, though, plans to publish electronic versions anyway. Joining us now from Cambridge, Massachusetts with more on this subject is Dan O'Brien. He's an analyst with Forrester Research. Good afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon. It's nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about this lawsuit that's going on right now. Rosetta Books and Random House did meet in court, I believe, yesterday. They're battling over digital rights. Now, the issue here, Random House says authors who signed basically before the internet pretty much signed away their rights to sign their e-publishing rights as well. Rosetta says quite the opposite. We can sign on for e-publishing rights now.
That's right. There's a battle going on here about who owns the rights to a stream of words, whether that's whether publishers own them just for the print version or whether they own digital versions as well.
Now, how is the outcome of this case going to affect the future of ebooks? If we could take a look at each of the possible scenarios that maybe Random House's view comes out as being called correct, or that Rosetta's does, how will that affect the future of this industry?
Well, they're not fighting about money, really, at this point. This is a very small industry. They're fighting really to set the precedent and to set future value estimates of digital content. If Random House wins in court, I think they'll take the digital rights issues more seriously in the future. They've been big with front list titles, but they haven't devoted a lot of attention to backlist titles, which are really their bread and butter. If Rosetta Books win, I think it'll open the gates that authors and their agents will approach all of their publishers and attempt to renegotiate the rights they have.
Now, this, of course, isn't the only copyright battle that we're seeing in terms of the internet. Two other significant ones. Napster, of course, music is an incredibly hot topic these days. The film industry also getting into the mix. Which of the three issues do you think is going to be settled first, and how could those other two set the tone for the rest of them?
Well, the music is not the same as books, in my opinion.
Okay.
The music is a matter of listening to on an MP3 player or on a stereo system, but it ends up being digital. A CD is a digital medium. Books are consumed in a very different way. Mm-hmm. They need to be read, and our research shows that people predominantly want to read the printed form. When they have to read more than a screen or two of digital content, they print it out. So we don't think that there's a real comparison between music and books.
Well, speaking of people's preferences, that was my next question for you. Is there really a market out there for ebooks? I mean, myself personally, I think I fall into that group of users you just talked about. I'd rather have a printed book. I don't want to have to keep changing screens.
Yes. There's a strong consumer preference for the printed version. A book is a very sophisticated piece of technology, if you think about it that way. We think there's a market for niche audiences, science fiction, for instance, and romance novels, and for digital textbooks. But the real win for publishers and for consumers in digital technology will be print on demand. Any book ever produced will be able to be printed one copy at a time very economically in the future.
All right, and that would work for us. Dan O'Brien, I believe we got that in just in time. Dan O'Brien, an analyst with Forrester Research, was just joining us with his comments on ebooks. Still to come on Tech Live, we'll have an insider's guide to the best and the worst of Linux. Stay with us.
Mr. and Mrs. Pfeffercorn? Hey, it's me, Steve, the kid from next door. Sorry about the rhododendrons. Anywho, Jeff here needs a computer.
Hi, Mom.
Now, Mr. Pfeffercorn, here's the deal. You can get our friend Jeff a complete Dell system with an Intel Pentium 3 processor for only...
Ta-da!
Tell them what they get, Jeff.
We get speakers, a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse.
Very good, Jeff. And if you order now, you get a free DVD upgrade. And Mrs. Pfefferbean?
That's Pfeffercorn, actually.
Whatever. Dell has award-winning service and support.
Perhaps that's why it's America's favorite PC.
Perhaps.
Get this great Dell computer with an Intel Pentium 3 processor for just $799. We'll include 1 year of DellNet by MSN Internet Access. Call or go online now, and you'll get a free DVD upgrade.
Ready? Mr. and Mrs. Bennett, it's me, Steve.
Shh. Want to learn a secret about long distance? Let's compare those prices again. AT&T 7 cents, IDT just a nickel. Sprint charges 10 cents on weekdays, and MCI charges a quarter. While IDT charges one flat rate all the time, 5 cents a minute, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Switch today and save a few, switch today and save a few bucks. IDT long distance. No one does it for less.
Coming up tonight on Tech TV, the Screensavers. Answers to your toughest computer questions. Live tonight at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Some folks might be inclined to call it the RC Cola of operating systems. That is the best image I can imagine. However, Linux has the backing and the popularity to make it a major OS player on Microsoft and Apple's level. But you ask, is it right for you? Tech TV's lab rat, Gil Loyola. I told you I was going to drop that lab rat word, but I can't. Gil's here to tell us a little bit more about Linux and who is it for, what's so great about it. We know Leo's a big fan.
Oh, yeah, Leo's a big fan. I, myself, well, I've dove into it quite a bit. Linux is for those people that, just, can't deal with Windows. You can't deal with the Mac, whatever. It's an alternate OS. It's free, and it's really, really configurable if you know how to do programming and all that type of stuff.
We should mention we're going to be speaking with Linus Torvalds just in a few minutes here, actually live on Tech Live. Leo's going to be talking more with him, but we thought we'd give you a preview of, for people that maybe don't know about it, or just a refresher in Linux 101, if you will.
Sure.
Fire away.
Well, the big thing is that, there have been great strides made into just making it really easier for everyday users to get a hold of. You have things like, when it first came out, application support or available applications for Linux, very, very few of them were out there. Now you have stuff like Star Office, which is a complete office suite where you can create Word documents or even work on spreadsheets. And one thing I noticed, it has an HTML editor, which is cool. And
what are the major disadvantages of Linux compared to the others, though, quickly?
Well, I think support is a big issue. Unless you're willing to pay for a distribution from like Red Hat or Mandrake or whatever, you have to go out to news groups or whatever, and just try and find bits of information to help you along.
I have to stop you there. This has been a teaser. I know it's killing our viewers. This is killing me as well, but we actually do have to stop here. If you want more, go to our website. We're going to have Linus Torvalds around here in just a little bit later in the hour, so please stay tuned. We'll have that interview for you coming up right away. If you have any questions, log on to our website at techtv.com. But right now, stay tuned. There's more Tech Live coming right at you.
Down to business. Can you make the order date? They'll have our answer by morning. Your order has just been ricocheted in, and we, Mr. Turret, have your answer now. Well, that is quite hot, Biz Rico.
Next time, bring your asbestos gloves.
Work away with Ricochet. High-speed, always-on mobile access. Ricochet High-Speed Mobile Access is available in select markets now for a flat monthly fee. For more information or to find out if Ricochet is available in your area, go to ricochet.com.
Here they come, the new screensavers. Not just an hour.
No.
Now they're supersized with 90 minutes of live help, fun, and more. More Leo, more Pat, more Mark, more Jessica, more Scott, more Roger, more Megan, more Yosh, more house calls,
Come on in.
more of your calls, and more of the great stuff that made this the biggest help show in television. The new 90-minute screensavers at a new time. Tonight at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Tech TV.
Join the world's largest community of netcammers, and you could be a star on Tech TV.
Let's get to our first call today. How do I set up a router with Linux Blackware?
Chat with our hosts.
Robots are going to have to adapt to our environment in the future.
Tell us where you're from.
Beautiful downtown Hamilton, Texas, partner.
This is Big Joe Cable out in New Hampshire.
Head to techtv.com/interact and join the Netcam network now. Brought to you by Media Poster. You'll laugh. You'll scream. You'll wonder, how'd they do that?
Shrek.
It's Shrek, the new movie with a cast that looks so real, you won't believe they're all digital. Tech TV takes you behind the scenes to show you how this fairy tale was brought to life.
The amazing thing about the computer today is that if we can dream it, we can make it.
The Tech of Shrek, a Tech TV movie special. Wednesday, May 16th at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, only on Tech TV.
You may have only seen it on pay-per-view, but you can bring the Ultimate Fighting Championship to your very own living room on the Dreamcast anytime you want. Extended Play's Kate Botello took it one step further. Oh, Kate, what were you doing in a dojo?
Well, you see, Michaela, now you may have heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, in which two fighters get in a cage and then beat the tar out of each other until one of them can't get up. Now, you can enjoy the vicarious thrill of the UFC and never get a bloody nose. I recently got to go to a dojo and get some pointers from a serious pro, Maurice Travis, Ultimate Fighter. We're here right now with Maurice Travis, world champion martial artist. Now, how do you define the ultimate fighting style?
You can be any style you want. You can be a boxer, you can be a karate, you can be kung fu, you can be taekwondo. It's why they call it the ultimate fighting. You know, it gives you the ultimate opportunity to prove that your style is the best.
Now, how do you take all of those skills from actual ultimate fighting and then apply them to a video game?
You have your certain favorite fighter that you would like, and also you have your certain style that you could be a kung fu master, so therefore you want to pick a fighter that has kung fu traits and skills.
What are like 3 tips you can give me that are going to win the game?
Okay, tip number 1 is make sure you practice a lot. It's very important, just like in the real life. You're not going to walk into the ring unless you have some skills developed. Number 2 is you got to pick the tough fighter. You got to pick the best guy that suits your style. Tito Ortiz, for example, is the up-and-coming. He just won the Ultimate Fighting Championships. He's a true champion. Maurice Smith, a well-rounded fighter. Frank Shamrock, this is the famous Shamrock family. Pedro Riso from Brazil, another top kickboxing submission holds fighter. You try to pick a fighter that kind of fits around your style of fighting. Secret number 3 is the special secret techniques. You need to really get it down to where you have secret techniques. So when you come up against those strikers, you want to be able to grapple them out and choke them out and tap them out quick. You want to put a striker in a grappling situation, and you want to put a grappler in a striking situation. So in real life, if I find a guy that's a real good puncher, I don't want to stay there and punch with him. I want to take him to the mat and try to get the submission move on him. So you have to have 1 is good training, 2 is you got the best warrior, and 3 is your secret moves, okay? And so you don't stop until you get those 3 together, and then you could be the ultimate fighting champion.
Now, if you'd like to see our poor intern Eugene at the business end of a submission hold, as well as my own kickboxing moves, you're going to have to watch Extended Play. We're not going to show you now. Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific.
You're so cruel. I want to see it now. Tell us, are there any future games, future versions of the game coming up?
Yes, there's UFC Tap Out. That's coming out for the Dreamcast in June and for the Xbox.
He seems like a character, Maurice. Tell me a little bit more what he taught you.
He taught me some really cool kickboxing moves, which could be really dangerous if not done the right way. The sleep sleeper hold. If you make somebody
yeah.
pass out,
That's
double
a favorite in
slaps.
elementary school.
It was great fun, yes.
I'm sure it was.
Some great submission holds, too.
Watch out, Adam Sussler. Kate's trained now. All right, Erica, over to you. Thank you so much, Kate Patello.
All right, thanks, Kate. I'll remember not to get in a fight with you. Time now for us to take a little check on the markets. Jean Lee is standing by at the NASDAQ market site. Jean, are things looking any better out there?
Erica, they've actually taken a turn for the worse. Check it out right here around 1 in the afternoon. Things look like they were going to be better, but that was not the case. Movers this time include Cree, which is up over 7% right now. Cree making a nice gain today. We want to show you the advance decline ratio as well. Decliners are edging out advancers by about a 4-3 margin at this point. Other active movers today include Nextel, which is down 4.6%, and also Cisco, which of course, really weighed the NASDAQ down starting from this morning when it beat the street by a penny, but was unable to give any good news in terms of future business, that they were turning things around at all. Cisco is down more than 5% right now at 19 and change. We want to show you a couple of winners in this losing day. Pathos is up nearly 9% right now, and Myriad, the biotech issue, is gaining 2%. Once again, we had the NASDAQ down 37 points at 2161, a loss of 1.7%. We will toss it back to you.
All right, Jean, thanks for the update. Happy to see there are a couple of bright spots out there. Robin, time for us to do a little check-in with you. What is happening in chat right now? Are we still talking about XP, or are we all fired up for our big guest?
Well, I got a little XP comment just a second ago about, well, what happened? Can Clippy be on XP?
Clippy is an option. I read that you could,
Really?
you can have him if you want him. Maybe this is incorrect, but I remember when we all heard about the death of Clippy.
Right.
Clippy saying that Windows XP stood for X Clippy or getting Clippy, I forget what. I remember reading somewhere that I think he is going to be available as an option.
Oh, see, I just told him that Clippy got his pink slip.
He did get his pink slip officially, but maybe you can hire him as a freelancer.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But right now in the chat room, it's all about Linux. They're so excited to have Linus come in.
Thanks, Robin. Let me tell you, Tech Live is all about Linux, especially coming up. The father of Linux will be here to discuss the future of the popular open source OS. Don't miss it. We're coming back right after this.
Learn where to soak those tired bones with Tech TV's Spotlight Sites following this message.
Spotlight Site is sponsored by Ford.
The next territory in security. Introducing the all-new Ford Explorer. No boundaries.
When the time comes to rest your weary self in the warmest nature has to offer, explore hot springs with these spotlighted websites. Soak.net is a no-frills site that nonetheless offers a huge compendium of hot springs around the U.S. Search by state and then get vital stats on what turns up. California's natural hot springs focuses on the Golden State. Primitive springs get lots of attention, including tips on navigating to some of those off the beaten trail. And at the virtual guidebook's hot springs section, amazing panorama action can be had. Dozens of springs are here, offering up their particular brands of swimming, steaming, and pure relaxation. Suffer no more with just your bathtub. The web can direct you to nature's most soothing alternative.
Live from the entertainment capital of the universe, it's the ultimate video game bash. Tech TV takes you to E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo.
It's a lot of fun.
Be the first to see the hottest new gadgets, killer toys, and video games you've got to see to believe.
Along with that healthy dose of our favorite ingredient, mayhem.
Coverage begins Wednesday, May 16th with live updates from Los Angeles on Tech Live. E3 on Tech TV, television about technology.
Got a little
penguin with us today.
We do. We have a friend.
We thought we were going to interview Linus. Instead, he sent a stuffed animal. I don't understand. No, Linus is coming
Maybe
up
later,
over.
if we're lucky, we can make him appear.
Hello. Here are the top stories we're following today on Tech Live. A couple of developments in the Japanese wireless industry are revealing an ever healthier industry. The number of mobile telephone users in Japan rose 18.9% year on year to 62 million people as of this April. That's some surprising growth rate, given Japan's slowing economy. The spurt can be explained by fierce price wars between dominant wireless firm NTT Docomo and challenger KDDI Corp. Docomo is reporting a 45% increase in profits, due primarily to the phenomenal adoption of internet-enabled cell phones, and that's due to a lowering in monthly fees. Gee, that might work here too. What do you think? Virgin Mobile, the wireless subsidiary of Richard Branson's media conglomerate, plans on moving into both the Japanese and United States markets. Virgin has conducted talks with Sprint Corporation, AT&T, and Australia's Telstra Corp. Virgin Mobile is a virtual operator that sells services under its own name but uses capacity on other companies' networks.
All right.
I saw you kiss the penguin.
The penguin's cute. Tracy, our producer, said the penguin looks
Isn't he
cute with
sweet?
us.
I just
Isn't
love
he
him.
Sweet?
His name is Tux.
His name is
He doesn't
Tux.
bite. And he's the only penguin in the world with an orange beak.
He's very special.
He's a pen duck.
You know what else? I think he would like a little update on the markets. He whispered it in my ear when Leo was doing headlines, so we'll indulge him. Some of the top movers on the NASDAQ. XM satellite radio shares made some modest gains today. That thanks to the launch of its second satellite this year. Shares of communication service provider Harmonic advanced on news of a deal with Cox Communications. Cox says it's chosen Harmonic's fiber optic platform to support system upgrades in the Midwest. Harmonic also announced a new Ethernet transport solution for the access network. There goes my penguin, called Gigalight. Let's take a look at how the NASDAQ is faring this hour. The NASDAQ not looking so pretty, as Jean Lee just told us. We're heading south, down about 41 points right now at 2157. The Dow, meantime, also in the red. Maybe we can pull up a chart and see what the Dow numbers look like there. The Dow off 33 points at 10,850. Now, of course, you know whenever you need those numbers, you can always look at the super ticker. That is on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see that little L down in the corner. The Dow and NASDAQ numbers, and of course, the names and symbols of several companies are listed right above it. So you can find all that information there. And of course, always stay tuned to Tech Live. I believe it is time. Leo has not just brought the penguin today. He has another guest for us. Leo?
We're chatting right now. The moment has arrived. It is our great pleasure to welcome Linus Torvalds into the studio. For those of you who don't know, Linus created Linux. And much to his chagrin, it's been named after him. I don't think that was the intent all along, was it?
It wasn't. Actually, it actually ended up having a working name of Linux, just because I had to come up with something. But I always thought it was a bit too egotistical to actually release it as Linux. So I had a
what did you want to call it?
I wanted to call it Freaks.
F-R-E-A-X.
F-R-E-A-X, yes, like freak, but also free.
Free.
But also the X for Unix.
Right.
And happily the person who actually put up the FTP site for it decided that was a really bad name. And I mean, he was right. He was right.
Linux is a good name.
It is a good name. It felt a bit egotistical, but it's good to know.
Let's get it from the horse's mouth. I mean, we've tried to describe what Linux is, but you wrote it. Maybe you can describe it a little bit better than I.
I tried. It's really hard to describe an operating system because the whole point of an operating system is really to not do anything on its own. I mean, it's only meant to be the kind of layer between the application programs that actually do things and the machine that gets them done. So the operating system really is only a resource manager, which means that anything you see on the screen is not really Linux.
It's not it.
Right. So it's kind of hard to explain. And I've never come up with a good way of saying this is Linux.
Do you know how offhand, do you know how many people use Linux worldwide now?
It's really hard to tell.
Since nobody's selling it, I mean, well, there are many people selling it, but there's no one central source for it. It's hard to get statistics.
Right, and even when you sell a CD, who knows how many machines it gets installed on? Who knows if it does get installed at all? I mean, when you do these CDs with magazines, however many percent of that actually gets installed, how many people get it off the internet? nobody knows.
Well, some things we do know. For instance, it is one of the most popular operating systems for web servers. It's being used very widely worldwide in that respect. I think it's being used on more and more desktops. Some estimates 10 million, 20 million desktops. There's quite a few people using it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a drop in the ocean when it comes to the whole desktop market. But it's at the point where people actually do see it on desktops, especially in certain markets like Germany seems to be very active.
In just a minute, we're going to go back in time to you're living at home with your mother and your sister. You're tying up the phone line. It's a beautiful Helsinki summer, and you are indoors with your blinds drawn, banging out some code. We're going to talk about the very earliest days of Linux when we come back. Linus Torvalds is our guest, the father of Linux. We'll continue our conversation in just a moment. If you want to ask Linus a question, log in to techtv.com/chat. Get in that chat room and ask it. We're going to have a whole segment with just you and Linus coming up. Stay right here.
Congratulations, you got the deal. Congratulations, you got the deal. Congratulations, you got the deal.
With Orchestrate, get your voicemail on your desktop. Tell at a glance which ones to hear, and even forward just like an email.
Congratulations, you got the deal.
Sign up now at 1-800-265-2030.
Tough day?
The client emailed another change. I mean, the boss was really teed off.
You're up, Williams. With Orchestrate, get your email over the phone.
So what'd you do?
Well, I sent it to legal. I mean, I was trapped.
And respond to your email just like voicemail.
And I need it by 5.
That sounds awful.
Well, it was rough, but we made it.
Sign up now at 1-800-265-2030. Orchestrate. Call now for your 30-day free trial. 1-800-265-2030.
Consumer advice for the latest trends, the hottest gear.
On the next Fresh Gear, TiVo and Ultimate TV go head-to-head. Which personal recorder will come out on top? And we uncover how this device can help Parkinson's disease sufferers lead a normal life. Plus, we round up a slew of souped-up, speedy gigahertz notebooks. Next on Fresh Gear.
Fresh Gear, coming up tonight at 9:30, 8:30 Central.
When it comes to modern-day David and Goliath stories, the high-tech version could easily be called Linus versus Bill, Torvalds versus Gates. Linus is the father, of course, of the Linux operating system. It's freely available on the internet, continually upgraded by a worldwide contingent of tens of thousands of volunteer programmers. They do it for the glory, for the love. They don't get a penny up front for their work anyway. It's a concept called open source software, and the land of Microsoft doesn't like it too much. Tech TV's Greg LaFay reports.
The big companies are taking note of Linux, whose mascot is the penguin. IBM displays the Linux logo on its billboards and even got into trouble by sponsoring sidewalk graffiti in some major cities. IBM offers Linux in its System 390 series of mainframe computers. But the Linux movement does not include Microsoft. That was made very clear during a speech at NYU last week by Microsoft Vice President Craig Mundy. He told a class of business students that software that's not copyrighted and produced collaboratively for free is bad for business.
And it is an intent to create this vortex that basically pulls a lot of people's intellectual property in and essentially makes it so that no company can really charge anything for the resultant work product, because as soon as you make it into a product, everybody else has the right to make it into a product. And that basically undermines the long-term value of intellectual property.
Actually, we're not giving up our intellectual property rights. But if I were Microsoft, I would probably be saying exactly the same thing, because the only thing that really threatens them is Linux.
The cubicles at VA Linux are filled with penguins. The company is located in the heart of Silicon Valley and is just one of many whose business is based on Linux.
Yes, you can make money with this stuff. You really can. I mean, IBM is not a charity. IBM would not be spending the money and efforts that they are in this field if they didn't think that they could make money on it. The fact that you have so much commercial activity in this space gives the lie to what Microsoft is saying about the inability to make money.
But Microsoft says, just wait. The current .com meltdown was caused because websites gave away their intellectual property for free to attract users who would turn into paying customers in the future. That didn't happen on the web, says Microsoft, and it won't happen with Linux either. Greg Lefebvre, Tech TV.
Once again, Linus Torvalds, creator of Linux, is with us. Does it bother you that Microsoft seems to now take Linux a little more seriously and is kind of going after it?
No, actually, I found it fun to see all the stuff around Linux that I don't personally care about.
Right.
Because I've always been fairly focused on the technology.
The kernel is yours,
right.
And that's what you care about.
And then seeing all the news feeds about what Microsoft thinks, that's kind of just entertainment.
It's secondary to what you do.
So Steve Ballmer, there have been sort of Steve Ballmer, I compared it to communism once.
He's not the only one. I mean, it's an obvious way to put down something, especially something like open source, which certainly has some ideals
Seems a bit
that
more
aren't
like socialism to me.
It is far from socialism, but we're going to explain.
I wouldn't call it an ism at all. It's really the fact that there's so many people out there who have the time and the energy and the interest to do something like Linux, and there's so many reasons to do it just for fun.
That's the name of the book, by the way. And you call it but I'm going to give you a plug. And you call it the world's greatest team sport.
It is. I mean, it has all the parts of a team sport, except it tends to be on a different level. You're not kicking a ball around. You're kicking ideas around.
You started this in 1991. You were in college, taking computer courses, but this wasn't for a computer course. You had a book by a guy named Tenenbaum, right?
Right.
The design of operating systems, and he had created an operating system called Minix.
That's correct.
And you were using it, but you hated the terminal software in there, right?
Well, there were a lot of things I didn't like about it, and the thing that really drove me nuts was that I couldn't really use it well to connect to the university computers to actually read email, do news, things like that. So I started out writing my own, and that's what eventually was to become Linux.
It's because it starts very small, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Did you? At what point did you realize you were writing an operating system, not just a terminal program?
It actually took like months.
Yeah. And it was the summer in Helsinki, beautiful weather.
Well,
you have been out on the beach.
Don't overdo the Helsinki beautiful summer weather. I mean, yes, there were probably like 5 days of beautiful weather that I completely missed.
Your sister has to put up with you because there's one phone line in your apartment.
We lived in an old house built in like 1902 or something like that, which meant that they actually only had a very limited numbers of phone lines coming in. So we tried to get multiple lines there, and we just couldn't.
Do it.
So imagine living with a teenage girl who wants to chat on the phone all the time. This was before cell phones, right? And a 20-something young man who's studying at the university and wants to keep that same phone line occupied all night to be on the internet.
And surfing.
How does she feel about it now, real quickly? Is she okay with it all now that it's all said and done?
We're better friends now than we used to be. I think that's usually true of most
I'm
siblings,
sure.
right?
I want to point out success hasn't spoiled Linus Torvalds. He's still wearing his trademark sandals,
And I
white
noticed
socks,
that when you walked
shorts.
I don't know. If you're a tech guy, you almost have to. It's a law.
There's one difference. Instead of wearing the T-shirt with somebody else's company's name on it, you now have a Tux T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, I usually wear company T-shirts still. It's just that when I'm going on TV, I'd rather have something that doesn't actually say a company name.
Then you're not giving out too much of a commercial.
Yeah. Well, we're going to ask you in a little bit which Linux distribution you prefer and which one you. I know which ones you use at work and at home, but we'll put you on the spot. We're not done yet. We've got a lot more with Linus Torvalds, and do make sure you log on to techtv.com/chat if you have questions for Linus or Tux. We'll be back in a second. Stay right here.
Think fast. What's coming up next on Tech TV? You can find out now. Just go to tech.tv and get the complete program listings for all Tech TV shows. What's on now? What's on later? Tech.tv. All the shows, all the times, for any day of the week. Tech.tv. The best way to check out what's on Tech TV. Sponsored by the .TV Corporation.
Remember how this felt when you had everything you needed to go wherever your imagination could take you? Shouldn't you feel the same way when it comes to your new favorite toy, the internet? You can with the AT&T 7/7 offer. Just $7 a month gives you unlimited AT&T WorldNet service and long distance together. You'll get 7 cents a minute long distance all day, every day. And unlimited AT&T WorldNet service with more reliable connections that leave nothing out of reach and the fastest logon times. All from the ISP-rated Best Buy by PC World. So get unlimited internet access and 7 cents a minute long distance, all for just $7 a month. Call 1-800-223-9000 now to unleash the possibilities. The AT&T 7/7 offer. Imagine that.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, okay.
Here he is.
Hey, Mom and Dad, I want you to meet my new roommate.
Isn't he great?
This is Greg.
Greg.
This is Sean. Hi.
Nice voice.
And this is Celine.
Bonjour, Mom and Dad.
Hey! She's from Paris.
Want to share video with your family and friends? MediaPoster.com makes it easy. Just capture, send, and receive. MediaPoster.com. It's just like being there.
The future is now.
You know. Oh, hey. You know.
Welcome back to Tech Live. Leo Laporte here with Erica Hill and, of course, Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux. He's got a book out called Just for Fun. Linus wrote it with David Diamond. It sounded like it was fun writing the book, actually. David took you on a lot of expeditions, didn't he?
It was fun, and that was one of my requirements for writing a book, was that, hey, if it's boring writing a book, I don't want to do it.
Some interesting revelations in here. For instance, a company offered you $10 million just to sit on the board of directors. This is a European Linux company. And you turned him down.
Well, you have to take this in context. I mean, this was during the boom, right? And people were offering stock options worth potentially money. I mean, people weren't giving out real hard paper greenbacks, right? So it was to that degree, it was easier to turn down paper money. It was also an issue of, I felt fairly uncomfortable about the notion of, okay, paying for my name.
You've always resisted endorsing any particular distribution. Right. You say in the book that you use SUSE at home and then Red Hat at work.
Right.
But do you prefer those, or does it matter?
It's really mostly that they tend to be the ones that have been around for a longish time. They're fairly big, so they kind of give a baseline for me to say that these are what I use. You can use anything. I don't use them because I prefer them. I use them because I'm too lazy to set up my own distribution, right?
Yeah, so I would do really well, wouldn't it?
No, you would not want to run my distribution.
Linus is Linux. You say in here this book was written in Microsoft Word, though, so you're not completely...
Parts of it were on a Macintosh. So it was kind of a strange experience.
You don't like the Mac too much, do you?
I actually like the Mac for certain things. Before I was a programmer, I actually was doing summer jobs for the Finnish news agency, doing graphics on a Mac. And that was absolutely the right platform for that. And there are aspects of the Mac I don't like. I don't think it's a nice programming environment, but that was not what it was meant to be. So I mean, that shouldn't be taken as criticism. That's just personal opinion.
You're quoted, and I think probably out of context from the book, being critical of OS X, when in fact you're merely critical of the mock kernel that it's based on.
Right. So,
but that's got to not just hurt Apple. The mock kernel is also the basis for the GNU kernel herd. So you're kind of, it's a little shaft to the open source community as well.
Yeah, I don't like mock, and I've been fairly open about that. And I think the timing was kind of unlucky that some other reviewers got the copy of this book at the same time as Apple came out with OS X, and then they wanted to make a story, and the fact that I don't like mock made a story. the fact that I don't like Mac and that I disagree with some of the technology in it doesn't make OS X a bad OS. So Apple people, don't shoot me, please.
Don't go
You
after
found
it.
out a little bit about how the Apple community can be just
No, that's actually, most of the commentary was fairly nice.
That's good.
So I didn't get any death threats. Or...
There's a scene in here, Steve Jobs brings you in and says, Linus, there's only 2 desktops in the world, Windows and Macintosh. You need to be on one side or the other. We want you on our side.
Right.
And you just said he didn't get it.
Well, I think that Steve Jobs is exactly the person he's described to be, very driven. He has a very narrow vision of what he wants to do, and it was not what I wanted to do. So it was
not many people walk out on Steve Jobs.
It was very. I didn't walk out because it was very interesting meeting him, and we did have a long technical discussion with
Avi,
about some of the stuff. It was not a friendly technical discussion.
Because he wrote Mach, by the way.
He was one of the people involved.
Okay.
And but it was interesting.
You dedicate the book to your wife, Tuva. And Patricia, Daniela, and Celeste, I've always wanted to be surrounded by young women, and you made it so. You want to explain this?
Sounds like a comment Leah would make.
I think it's, if you don't get that, I'm not going to
explain. It's your wife and daughter, so we should say he's surrounded by. How old are your
the oldest one is 4.5, and the youngest one is 5 months.
At the end of the book, Dave points out that you've mellowed a little bit. You're kind of open. You're driving now a BMW Z3 sports car. You bought a nice house. Have things changed for you?
I think so. It was actually interesting. My dad read the book before it came out, because I wanted to get comments. And he liked reading the book because he thought that it showed how I've grown or something. And for him as a dad, that was interesting to him. Maybe David overdid it a bit. And some of the mellowing out is actually because I just got more and more used to David. So
you relaxed.
So that relaxes you. But it might be true to some degree, too. Who knows?
It's a fascinating read. It is not a technical book, although there's some very interesting passages about the writing of Linux.
It's really absolutely not a technical book. And actually, that's one of the things we did, was that even the pseudo-technical segments were not written by me. They were written by David with interviews as me, so that David acted as a filter to make sure that it didn't become too technical.
So the next book, can you make it a little bit more technical?
Well,
you said you're never doing this again.
If I'll do another book, maybe I'll do a technical one. But
Was that too non-techy for you, Leo?
I wanted some inside stuff.
No.
That's okay.
I mean, it's what kind of audience you go for.
Yeah, I understand.
And we didn't do that very knowingly, but at the same time, we did not want this to be a preaching to the choir kind of book. We wanted it to be something to people who didn't even really know what Linux was, just heard the name.
Because the choir's going to read it anyway. I did. The book is just for fun. Linus Torvalds is our guest. When we come back, we're going to give you a chance to ask your questions in the chat room, and maybe some netcam calls too. We'll see what happens. When Tech Live returns, you stay right here.
OLM.net presents True Tales from the World Wide Web.
With all the web hosting companies competing for your business, which one should you choose?
OLM gave us 300 megabytes for a fifth what we were paying before. We got a bunch of email addresses. We've had 100% uptime. No crashes. We like that.
For me, it comes down to more features for less money. I've been shopping around and OLM is unbeatable. They have great service, very reliable. I think they're the best value out there in the market.
Well, I usually don't get to the computer till after midnight. So since OLM has 24/7 support and it's live phone support, that really meant a lot to me. And I've not had any problems. They've been great. I just love them. They're like family.
Real people, true stories. OLM.net. See for yourself. 1-877-2-OLM-NET. Over 150,000 websites. One truly great host.
I want my tech TV.
It is now time for us to hear from you. We are joined right now by Linus Torvalds. We've been speaking to him for almost the past half hour. First, we're going to go to a NetCam question. Reed is on the line from Chicago, and then we'll go to a phone call from Matthew in Michigan. First, Reed, let's hear from you.
Hi, Leo. Hi, Linus. First of all, let me say I'm a big-time Linux user over here. My question is this. Where does Linux get its money from? We all know that it's free on the net, but where does the income come from to Linux?
Okay, so there's kind of two answers to this. One is, historically, the money didn't come. Most of the Linux development was done basically on people's free time. So in that sense, you don't actually need that much money if people are doing it because it's fun. The other question is that there's actually a lot of companies around, not just Linux companies, that are doing a lot of Linux work and are funding this. And
your company, Transmeta, is a good example. It's a chip company, but a lot of Linux development has come out of Transmeta.
That's true. Transmeta used Linux as a way of showcasing what you could do with the chip. But you'll find, like, obviously the big name in the industry is IBM, who's pouring a lot of money into Linux because they're thinking that Linux will really turn around, for example, their S390 business, something that a few years ago would have sounded really strange.
They're abandoning their own Unix in favor of Linux, basically?
I don't know if they're really abandoning it, but they're certainly putting a lot of resources on Linux too. And there's the pure Linux plays that are making money on support.
VA Linux, Linux Care, I don't know where they are these days, Red Hat.
Red Hat.
I don't know if still left.
So, I mean, the bubble has certainly burst.
We have another question.
We do. I don't mean to interrupt you. Hopefully, Reed, we answered your question. But we do also have Matthew on the line. As we said earlier, Matthew's calling in from Michigan on the phone. Matthew, what can we do for you?
I was wondering if they were going to have a more, I guess you'd call it beginner or user-friendly version of Linux coming out soon.
Linux on the desktop, I think, is really what we're all looking at.
Right. They really are getting, I mean, having done this for 10 years, I can tell you they're a lot more user-friendly. And they're getting better.
Easel has done a lot. I think Easel's really
great. There's a lot of people who've worked very hard on making the desktop easy to use. One of the issues is that you need to build up the infrastructure. And you can actually see that in the kind of open source projects out there right now, is that they tended to be very technical because the infrastructure wasn't there, so the open source projects tended to be these kind of technical infrastructure projects.
Built it up.
And in the last 2 years, there's a lot more work in exactly the non-technical area.
Linus,
Which is great.
It's been great to have you, Linus. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for Linux. The book is Just for Fun. Linus Torvalds and David Diamond. More of today's top tech headlines when Tech Live returns. Stay right here.
Do your old, worn-out walls need to be repainted, but do you hate running back and forth with that messy roller? Then you need the Paint Runner, the revolutionary new home painting system that transforms your old walls into beautiful, professionally painted walls in less than 3 minutes with no splattering and no running back and forth. Look, with ordinary rollers, the paint goes on the outside. It splatters everywhere. But simply pour in your favorite paint, pop on the lid, and presto! Paint Runner's amazing dispenser holds up to 288 square feet of paint, so you can paint continuously without running back and forth. Paint an entire wall in less than 3 minutes, an entire room in 12 minutes. Best of all, it's guaranteed not to drip or splatter. Plus, Paint Runner's amazing patented distribution system mixes and distributes paint in a perfect flow, so all you need is one coat. It's like having an entire can of paint right in the roller. Watch, this ordinary roller can't cover this textured surface, but Paint Runner covers the entire surface with ease. Paint over bricks, cement, and paneling in a breeze. Hard to reach the ceiling? No problem. Its amazing telescopic handle adjusts to 3 heights. Paint an entire ceiling in minutes. Change the color of your room anytime you want to. Look again. Jobs that took hours are done in minutes. It's 10 times faster than an ordinary paint roller. Best of all, it rinses clean in seconds. No more running back and forth. This professional spray gun costs $1,500, but now on this exclusive TV offer, you can get the award-winning Paint Runner for only $19.95. But wait! Call within the next 10 minutes and get the Easy Pour Jug and Telescopic Pole free. That's an incredible value, all for only $19.95. Order now.
To order your paint runner kit for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling, call 1-800-474-0660. Have your credit card ready or send a check to this address. Call 1-800-474-0660. Call now.
Hi, Sumi.
Hi, Leo.
It's good to see you. And hello and welcome to our international viewers joining us this hour. I'm Leo Laporte.
And I'm Sumi Das. Coming up this hour on Tech Live, consumers in Asia and Europe just love wireless internet messaging. Why is the U.S. so slow to pick up on it? We'll talk to a leading researcher to find out. The victims of internet denial of service attacks are in denial about the problem. Tech Live talks to a security maven who says it's finally time to go public. And we'll show you a pacemaker for the brain. Doctors think controlled electrical stimulation can help control Parkinson's disease. There are two big stories out of the Pacific Northwest. Microsoft has a launch date of Windows XP, and it looks like Boeing is ready to fly the coop. Tech TV Seattle Bureau Chief Matt Markovich joins us with details on those stories. Matt, tell us more.
Sumi, well, Microsoft has finally made it official, saying that Windows XP will come out October 25th. It was October 29th. It was in the August period. They finally made a date today, and they've pegged that date because they don't want the sales of XP to run into conflict with sales of the Xbox, which will come out around Christmas. No prices were announced today. That was bad news. We wanted to hear how much they were going to charge. They're going to have two editions.